Hello, everyone. Welcome to Endure, the show where ordinary people do extraordinary things, and I ask them the question that really matters, which is why. I'm your host, Chester Allen, and today I'm joined by a special guest, Leicester Tigers' very own Tom Whiteley. Welcome, Tom.
Thank you, Chester. It's nice to be here, mate.
How are you, son? How are you?
Very good. I'm all right. I actually did my AC joint on Sunday, so I'm recovering from that. So I'm missing this
Yeah, I
weekend.
saw that. Yeah.
But it's all good. I'm getting a steroid injection tomorrow, and then getting ready for the semi-final next week.
Come on. Come on, the
Yeah,
Tigers.
big
I
one
probably
this year.
shouldn't be saying that because I support Quins, but there you go.
Sport Tigers this year because Quins are nowhere near it.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely, mate. Well, yeah, that was quite the chip and chase. I was up on my feet screaming at the TV whilst I saw you do that. But yeah, what happened in the end? Did you just hit
Well, it's the
Varney at some rate and
Yeah,
it
my
didn't really
problem
work out?
was my first action from coming onto the pitch. So I was way off the pace of the game. So if you watch it back, I actually nearly missed the ball when I chip it. I completely missed my strides. I
I
just
didn't want to
catch
say
it.
anything.
Yeah, well, yeah, I'm glad you've seen it. But I was way off the pace of it. But I actually managed to catch the ball, and as I caught it, I just got whacked from behind by Feo Boboso and Chris Chunza, two big lads, and I just caught my arm underneath, and I thought it was fractured. I actually thought the season was over. My doctor was pretty sure it was fractured, so thankfully it's not. I can just get it jabbed up tomorrow. I've got a running session tomorrow morning, and then I'll get it jabbed up after.
I mean, it didn't look comfortable at all, but maybe just for the listeners, sorry, we kind of just dived even straight into that sort of conversation, but maybe as a bit of background, Thomas, Hector, William Whiteley, you could tell them a little bit more about who you are, what your relationship is to me, and what your profession is.
Yeah, so I met Chester back when we were 13. We went to same school, same house, Millfield School, Butley House, and we became friends. We became friends pretty quick. Chester was this sort of
I don't know
lank.
about quick. Sorry, I'm going to have to interject there. I think we hated
I
each other
thought
for
I
some
maybe I
time.
do. Anyway, Chester was this tall, lanky bloke, kid, with
Was.
big fuzzy hair. Still is, but you were probably that same height actually when I first met you, and I was probably this height as well. And yeah, we just became mates over time, then best mates, and then yeah, we went different ways after school. Chester went to uni, which you'll probably know, and I went into rugby. I went signed at Saracens when I was 18. For 7 years I was there, so I signed from 2014 and then left in 2021. I then signed for Bristol for 18. I signed a 2 year, but only stayed there for 18 months for other reasons that we don't need to talk about. And then left. I got a great opportunity to leave and go to Leicester when Steve Borthwick took over England. I got the chance to sign at Leicester, and I've been here since for nearly 4 years now.
That's awesome. That is awesome, and yeah, some journey, man. Like that's a pretty cool story. That's probably every schoolboy's dream that ever plays rugby. That you sort of fulfilled there. So definitely giving those hope that are maybe in that position might be listening to this. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, looking at themselves, going, I've got this. I'm playing really well. What do you think the sort of turning point was for you, where you were like, okay, this is a great game that I'm really passionate about, but can I actually get to that next level and essentially make a living out of it?
Well, I mean, you'll probably agree, back me up in this, Chess. I always thought I'd make it. I don't know why. I just had this sort of in the back of my head. I was so convinced I'd make it. But there was a time, probably from when I was about 16 to 18, probably about a week before I signed for Saracens, actually, where I was like the only one who I knew who was trying to become a professional rugby player who wasn't in an academy. So I was the only one.
Mm,
I was in and out of Quinn's Academy, but I couldn't really do Quinn's Academy because obviously we were at Millfield and I couldn't travel to and from London twice a week. So that ended pretty quick. I got a call from a coach saying I was playing fullback at the time, but I got a call from the coach basically saying that I wasn't big enough to play professional rugby at 16, which is a strange thing to say, but and then sort of was just in and out of like Bath Academy a little bit, but
Yeah,
I was just sort of transitioning to scrum half at the time. So and they had three scrum halves, three really good scrum halves. I think all played England 20s in my age group. None of them play rugby now though, which is quite interesting. And um, yeah, like I don't think there was probably a bigger period where I thought I wouldn't make it. Like I always in the back of my head, I was like, I really want to make it, really want to make it. Put all my eggs in one basket. I was awful at school, as you well know. And if I hadn't got this contract, I don't really know what I would have done after. It was a big risk and one that paid off, but I wouldn't recommend if people are listening to this going that way about it.
so it's better to have a soft plan B, but a very very soft light touch plan B, because you don't want plan B to become your plan A,
Well,
right? So
exactly, yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah, but there's having a plan B and not having a plan B. So
Yeah, which I didn't have. I really genuinely didn't have one. But I remember
that is
booking holiday. We booked Thailand for that summer,
mhm.
Glastonbury. I had all these things booked, and yeah, ended up going to none of them.
Yeah, I actually forgot about that. That's well, yeah, but you gotta make a lot of sacrifices, especially in those early years where and maybe that was actually that's something I probably want to get into. That's something I will get into is in the early years. Everyone's going in uni still figuring like who they are as a person. Whereas I feel like, to be fair, when you came to school, I didn't like you initially because I was like, this guy's a little arrogant prick wearing his, Wasps training jersey with his own name on the back of it. Who the hell does he think he is? Kicking goals from like, 20, 30 meters out and just slotting them. And everyone was like, oh my God, this guy's insane. I was like, it's not that good. But you had that swagger, that sort of, not arrogance, but you had that backing. You're never arrogant about it. So where did that come from first off, and then I'll go into the sort of why a little bit as well.
I don't. It's a good question. I never thought I was that arrogant, but obviously, obviously, you thought.
No, no, no. I didn't
No,
say arrogant. I said backing.
I don't know. I think having two older brothers who really believed in me. Obviously, Harry and Charlie were
Mm.
part of my childhood, and they pushed me. They were the two who actually pushed me to go to Milford. I never really wanted to go to boarding school because I'm a bit of a homeboy. Well, I was a bit of a homeboy, and yeah, they pushed me. And obviously, my grandparents were big supporters in me, like especially my granddad. And yeah, so I just think I had a good support system. I don't think any of them thought I'd really make it. They probably had that hope that I might, because there was three brothers, Harry, Charlie, and me, we all wanted to be pro, and Harry didn't
Mm.
make it, Charlie didn't make it, so it was all sort of down to me, and they wanted me to. They probably wanted it more than me at some points. And there was times where I probably didn't really want to do it because, like you said, the sacrifices. Like I look back at it now, where I remember you guys all being out of uni, freshers, doing all these amazing things, going on holidays, going to Glastonbury, doing all these things that I couldn't do. And it only really sort of sank in maybe when I was 23, 24, when uni sort of finished, that I know that you guys probably would have given your right arm to be where I was at that time. Although the sacrifices were, and you still make sacrifices now. Like even there's loads of things that I've missed in recent years, like stuff with you guys, my close friends, like stuff that I can't do. But it does all balance itself out in a way. Like I've had some amazing memories. I've played in some amazing countries. I've played in amazing stadiums. So if you asked 10-year-old Tom if he would change it, he wouldn't. So yeah, that's yeah, it's sacrifices, but it's worth it, 100%.
Yeah. Like I said, mate, I think we were in quite a unique position. We created environment at school, like you and I, specifically as well. We were really, really focused on it. We created an environment where everything was sort of leading towards either playing first 15 or trying to, get past the schoolboy era. And you made it, I didn't, but you know that's all right. But it's that whole journey, right? That you're trying, that you had to experience, and the sacrifice. You have to make sacrifices to get to that point and to make it worth it. So, I hear what you're saying, and I think it's really interesting for those that think it gets easier, because I don't think it does. I think it probably initially got harder for you.
Yeah,
And then probably got a little bit easier. But looking back at the memories, like you say, like you're basically a gladiator, right? Like you turn up, there's people that are amped in the stadium, you go to battle, get beat up, break your nose, do your ACJ, probably a bunch of other injuries as well that we're not listing, and then you get paid for it. It's a weird job, but it works. Yeah. And hopefully you've had a lot of fun along the way.
well, yeah, I have. There's one stadium that sticks out, right? I know you haven't asked me this question, but because when you're talking about gladiators, Bordeaux Stadium. I don't know if you've seen clips of like the walk in Bordeaux, but that's a 2 minute. I think it's 2 minutes 40 from changing room to pitch. You walk down this sort of like tunnel that's honestly you could hear a pin drop. And both teams walk down at the same time, and not a word's being said. It's just complete silence. And these 30 huge men, 29 huge men, and me are walking down next to each other, and then you get closer and closer, and you just hear this like gladiating noise of like these fans, and they are like so I don't know what the word is, but they are so on top of you, and the noise for 80 minutes, probably more 100 minutes, because it doesn't stop at half time, and they're just so it's the hardest place you'll ever play rugby, but again one of the most amazing places you ever play rugby, but it's like a proper gladiator place to play.
You're going back to sort of primal times, you know, where that it was literally fight or flight, and you're doing that week in week out, which is, and then also at training, you know, which is quite incredible. So I mean that's quite interesting. Like, did you feel in that tunnel compared to look, you played at some of the best stadiums in the world, like you played at the home Twickenham multiple times, and then you know you're mentioning Bordeaux, you've been down to South Africa, you've been all over the world, like you say. What's been the most nerve-wracking entrance to a pitch, and then what's been the one where you're just so pumped that your nerves are sort of quietened and you are just like so ready to go? Give me the contrast.
I think the one which felt like fight, you say that fight or flight mode, was Claremont. My European debut was Claremont away,
I
and
remember that.
that's like that's a cool stadium because everything's so like the stand is like that, and the pitch is just there, but everything's like that. And I remember we got to the stadium. I was pretty nervous as it was already because I think it was my first team debut, European and Premiership debut, and when we were at Saracens, whenever we got to a stadium, we'd do a huddle, 3 huddles on the pitch. We'd walk the pitch and we'd talk about our defence, our attack, and our kicking game. And they obviously planned it, the stewards, that the moment we got onto the pitch, this is when Claremont were like a force in Europe. Like they're not so much anymore, but back in the day they were. And as we got into that first huddle, the stadium got opened, and tens of thousands of fans just surrounded the pitch, and just drums and like those vuvuzelas, trumpets, like brass bands. You can't hear a word you're saying. I felt like in that exact moment I couldn't hear a word. I can't remember who was speaking. It might have been Brad Barrett, and I remember just looking at him, but like you can see his mouth moving, but you can't hear. Hearing so much noise everywhere else. So that was an amazing play, and like not for like the walk onto the pitch or anything, but just in terms of like the atmosphere and how much it meant to Claremont. Because Claremont's only a small little village. It's in the middle of France, and it's like all that there is the Michelin Man and Claremont Rugby. That's where the Michelin Man comes from. So they're what's it called? Their mascot is the Michelin Man.
I did not know that.
Yeah. So yeah, that was what was the second part of the question? Was the
So I wanted to know that sounds like it was when you were most amped, like that
yeah.
was when you were like ready to go, chomping at the bit. What was the moment when you were walking into a stadium, a pitch, an arena where you were bricking it, where you were like, I'm really nervous for this game? Maybe they were high stakes, or maybe you
Uh,
don't get nervous anymore. I don't know.
No, we'll get onto that. But I actually don't anymore. But I recently we played Leinster at home a couple of seasons ago. Not last season, maybe 3 seasons ago. But
Big team.
I was getting a load of starts in a row. Didn't think I'd get the start in Europe. I thought they might have brought Ben Youngs to start. Ended up getting the start, and it felt like I don't know. It felt like I'd been given that confidence by the head coach just to go out there and back myself. And I don't listen to music anymore. I don't bang my head against the wall like we used to do at Millfield. I sort of just I'll write down stuff in my book that I need to know for the game, stuff that helps me concentrate during the game. But that was the first time and last time I think that I was listening to music, because I've never felt that nervous before a game. And I don't know why, because like obviously it's Leinster, and it was when a few years ago when Leinster was sort of in the final every year without fail.
Mm.
And we gave them a good go to be fair. I think we were winning at half time, ended up losing the game. But that was the last time I can remember being properly nervous and listening to music, getting myself pumped up. And I don't think it helps me doing that. It doesn't make me a better player doing that.
Interesting. Interesting. Well, I'm more. I want to go down this alley. So, what is your sort of what is your process, and how has that changed over the years as you've gotten slightly wiser?
What is it? So I listen to like I said, I listen to no music. I have my notepads, which I haven't got. I would show you. I haven't actually got with me right now.
What sort of things are you writing down in your notepad?
So I have
Obviously, if it's
no,
secret players,
it's
don't
fine.
tell us. But
We talk about it quite a lot just in like team meetings and stuff. We like to know about boys, what they do differently, because it helps. Like what someone else does might help me, but this is what helps I do because it helps me. So I'll have like a controllable list. So I'll write control. All right, I'm OCD when it comes to it. So I'll write the game, whether it's home or away, the date, my shirt number, and then I'll write controllables. So I'll have three controllables for the game, which is stuff that I can control. I know I can control, like my energy, my skills. I know I can control when I'm on, and this changes every time. Like it might be that I'm on the bench, so like my controllable might be no matter when I come on, how do I affect the game? So if I'm coming on with 10 minutes to go and we need to close a game out, how do I change my style of play, and how do I lead the team around the pitch to make sure that we can close that game out, and vice versa if we're losing. And then under that you'll have uncontrollables. So stuff like referees' decisions, like stuff I can't control, because I used to be very bad. I still occasionally am. I'm worse in training now. I used to be really bad in games, but if something goes against me or a mistake happens, I used to be really angry, and you probably remember this. I used to get pretty angry. But this whole thing of writing it down, and it's not like a conscious thing. I don't like something goes against me in the game. I don't just think, oh, I wrote that in the book up. That's fine, then don't worry about it. I'll
mm.
write it in the book. I'll literally write my book, close the book, and that I won't look at it again until next week. But in my head,
As in game day next week.
yeah, so I won't look at that book again.
Huh?
So I'll write it, have a look at it, close it, put it back in my bag. That's me done. But it subconsciously is in my head because I've written it down already. It's a bit like journaling in a way. So I've
Yeah,
written
yeah.
it down, and in my head I know that I've written it, so it doesn't bother me. So any sort of mistake, whether that's a teammate mistake, referee's decision, the weather, because I can't control the weather, can't control the wind, so stuff like that, which used to really affect me. I used to be looking at weather forecasts like a week in advance, trying to work out which way the wind's going to be coming, if the rain's going to come in at 24 minutes into the game or whatever. Like that would really affect me. Because I'm quite an OCD bloke. That's how I would have to try and deal with it. And then under that, so I'll do controllables, uncontrollables, and then I'll just write a bit about how I'm feeling. So that's sort of pretty similar most weeks. It might be because I'm on the bench, like not worrying about how long I'm getting, just making sure when I'm on. Like I'm watching the game play by play and understanding what's like how can I affect the game when I get on.
Mm.
And then once I've done that, just underneath I'll write down all the maps. So maps we call our plays. And I'll just write them down really like basic. So if it's a 7-man play, I'll write down the 7-man and what I do in that play, and then 6-man, 5-man, 4-man, that kind of thing. That'll be me before a game.
That's interesting. I didn't know that. I think, well, look, I journal every day. Well, I try to every day. Not every day I'm perfect, but I think there's something to be said for that. Like you say, you sort of brain dumping in that moment. I think it's quite interesting that it's almost become a ritual. And I remember your OCD was prominent, at school and all the way through. You'd have to put on your socks a special way. You'd tie your laces and all that sort of bollocks. And it worked for you, but I'm interested about, because in pro sport, OCD and perfection are hard to come by, because you need to take criticism. And I was thinking about this a lot the other day. I believe the difference between a pro rugby player and not are those that are able to take on feedback, action that feedback, and keep going, right? And so OCD is you're striving for that. In your mind, what perfection looks like. So how does that work, and how did that work, and how have you grown around that and used mechanisms like journaling before a game to overcome the sort of need to have everything lined up and perfect?
Yeah. It's good. So I think it comes from training personally. So I used to train. This is not me saying I don't train like I'm playing, because we have one training session a week where you have to train like you're playing, to sort of get your body to that sort of, as close like you would for like an ultra marathon. You've got to get your body to a certain point before you can actually do it.
Yeah,
I guess I've never run an ultra marathon, so but I guess
there's still time.
Yeah,
I'll give you a program.
that's good, nice.
Shameless plug.
Yeah, but yeah, so training used to be nearly as important to me to games were. So I would have to be perfectionist in training. If I wasn't a perfectionist in training, I'd find it really hard to make mistakes in games. So I had a weird season last year. I only played 4 European Prem games, which is nothing. I played 26 this year already, but I had this relationship with Michael Checker, who was our coach last year. He basically said to me I wasn't going to play, and it was not because he didn't rate me, not because he didn't like me, just he had this gut feeling that he wanted to play Ben Youngs, and I was absolutely fine with that. But it actually made me a better player, because I went into training sessions with absolutely no fear, knowing that if I did something really good or I did something really bad, it's not going to affect selection. And it's turned me into this like. So when I train now, I'm so chilled. Like if I make a mistake in training, it doesn't affect me. I had the odd one where I call someone a bad word or get angry at someone for doing something, but I've now I've freed myself up completely. So like the way I like to describe it, if my knowledge is 100%, so if I know my maps 100%, if I know everyone else's maps to like what they need to do, then I can throw myself 100% in the like intensity side. So, but if your knowledge is slightly off, you then can't do the intensity side, because you're always going to be thinking slightly about what they're doing. And do you understand what I mean? So it's like
Yeah.
you've got to be there with the knowledge so that you can do that with the intensity. There's not one in between.
Got to eliminate the doubt, right?
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
you've got to know the play inside and out, so you can run it at full pelt and know that you're going in the right direction, doing the right thing, action at the same time. Yeah,
and it becomes second nature. So it's like even though we have
it's like driving.
Yeah, exactly. It is completely. So we'll have maps for 1 week and they'll change weekly, but I know that by Tuesday I'll have them waxed, which means Tuesday session, Thursday session, Friday session, I can be 100%, and then going into the game, I don't even have to think about the maps. I can just worry about my other things, which has helped with my sort of like OCD and having to get myself so pumped up. And that was probably like me hiding my knowledge, me getting so pumped up, that hoping that my intensity would cover the knowledge side of it, because I was nowhere near as waxed as I used to be. Like I sort of just get through a week and get to the weekend, but I'd be so pumped up. I would make a mistake in knowledge, but I'd be like running around making loads of tackles and all that. But now I feel like I'm so waxed on knowledge, which I should be because of my position. Like it's my job to understand how the game works. So yeah, I think that's sort of helped with my like you talk about being a perfectionist. Like
Mm.
I have always been one in terms of like rugby, but I think it's changed throughout my career, even from when I was at school, where I used to rely on my intensity to cover like the knowledge side of it. Now I'm much more the other way. Because I can always get
Yeah.
myself up for a game now. Like when you're playing at like a high standard, playing against some of the best players in the world, you have to be, or you'll be caught out. Like it's pretty obvious when someone's not on that. So yeah,
I
that's
think
how.
that's fascinating. I love that because you're you weren't like one of these. You weren't. I'm not. I'm going to probably offend someone here, but you weren't a dumb player. You know, like you weren't just walking around like tackling, passing, just doing the simple stuff. I always thought that you were looking at the game from a slightly different angle, and that's why you're able to punch holes in defence and see gaps before they appeared, sort of thing. But I think it's so interesting that your focus sort of shift, right? So you started at Saracens and it was all about, I need to get a little bit bigger, I need to put on some size, I need to be a bit more of a presence on the pitch, I need to make sure my passing's on point, obviously. But then as you get older, it's about, okay, well, why don't I smart up on these plays and I'll be able to operate at a much higher intensity and offer more to the team if I actually think with my top 4 inches a little bit more. I think that's just the sign of you and your personal growth of becoming an older, slightly wiser player, which is cool, which is
Yeah,
awesome.
there's another point. Sorry to interrupt. Like
No,
just
go for it.
before I forget. So one thing I do a lot more, and probably last sort of 2 or 3 years I've started doing this, is I almost commentate the game as it's happening. So
I'm sure
I
the ref loves
yeah,
that.
no, but it's pretty much it's all like in my head. Like it's not I'm not shout like there's obviously I have to shout at some points, but I know that a team's going to do this from a touchline, and they'll do that on the next phase, and they'll do that on the next phase. But I'll be saying in my head, which means I can then help my teammates more. So I'm almost trying to be one step ahead of their team, whoever we're playing. Let's say Exeter. I'm trying to be one step ahead of them before they're doing it, and that also helps with like the intensity side of it again because I know I'm one step ahead of them, or I think I'm one step ahead of them, even if it's not right. At least I'm trying to make that decision in my head, and then I can go through with the action. So
Yeah, no, it's I think it's quite it's quite an interesting way to play, right? Because you're still learning.
always
I
that.
remember always learning. Yeah, and it's weird, right? Because it's just it's a game, but because it's a game with so many variables, it keeps it so interesting and you're on your toes the whole time. So, look, we've gone through a little bit about your sort of personal growth, the sort of why that you've got this sort of intrinsic motivation. You're a homeboy, obviously. The sort of support and the generation of that motivation comes a lot from family. Talk to me a little bit about what a normal week would look like at Leicester Tigers for Tom.
Okay. I'm going to give you two different weeks. I'm going to give you one at the start of the season, like a pre-season week, because
Yep.
that's slightly different to uh, a Tom in season, and how I like to how I like to look after myself. All right. So
Yeah,
if,
sweet.
if we go pre-season first, so we'll always go Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, weekend off. So I have Wednesday, weekends off, and then Monday will be. I'll give you last season. So last season it was Monday was a contact day. So wrestling, basically a lot of off feet stuff. So wrestling's not off feet, but in their head it's off feet. So wrestling, watt bikes, that kind of stuff. And then like a heavy upper body session. Legs.
All in one day.
Yeah, this is all in one day. Yeah, and then Tuesdays are high volume running day. So for the first couple of weeks, it might be a lot of straight line stuff. So MAS running, mass running. So 10 on, 10
What's
off.
that?
So
Okay.
it will be let's say it ranges between 0 to they're quite scientific. It's all meant to match up your GPS numbers basically. So how quick you are will determine how far you've got to be in a certain time. So like the bigger lads will run less distance, but in the same time as we'll run a bit more distance. But we're all running the same speed, so no one's getting left behind. So it's not the idea of it. It's not a race. So it's not me versus you. Let's see who can run the quickest in 10 seconds. So I might run 57 meters in 10 seconds, which is what 5.7 meters per second. It's not like quick speed. Thank you. I gave myself easy maths for that.
Yeah, that's great. Well done. Yeah, I'm very impressed.
And like for you, for instance, if you were playing back row, you might run 48 meters, so 4.8, but the timings all work out the same. So that'll be what we'll do for a couple of weeks. It gets hot, like, so you'll do 10 reps of that, and then you'll do like a return version, so 15-second one, and then you go up to like 30-second ones, and then you've got like a minute ones as well. So all like over the weeks we'll slowly build that up, and then it sort of just repeats itself. So the Thursday and Friday are pretty similar. So we'll do yeah. So we'll do Thursday, Friday exactly the same. Sorry. But on the 2 days it'll be different lifts. So usually lower body and then upper body and then lower body, upper body. So it's big heavy weights, a lot of running when we're on, and pretty heavy contact when we're on the contact days. And then when you get in the season, unless you have any questions about it, that pre-season is pretty like just gets fast and fit and as strong as you can.
So with that on pre-season, just before we go in season, you all right? Do you need a drink of water? The pre-season stuff, like, so you're doing your power movements every day along with a cardio session, an anaerobic session, sort of thing every day, pretty much, right? Have I got that right?
So,
You're lifting some sort of weight.
Lifting some sort of weight with some sort of exercise, yeah.
Yeah, and then you're doing some sort of cardio element as well on top of that. So it's 2 sessions a day, every day.
Yeah. It's 2 sessions a day, every day for 4 days.
For 4 days, and then what? You get Saturday and Sunday as a break, a rest.
So Wednesday off, and then Saturday, Sunday off. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I missed Wednesday. Okay. And then, so what's a day? What's a down day like for you? What's a recovery day? What's a Wednesday, Saturday, Sunday look like for you?
In pre-season, I'm a lot more diligent with my recovery, so I'll try and, especially on the run days, so Tuesday and Friday, I'll get in early and have ice bath jacuzzis. I've never felt like sore and tired, but only recently. I think it's because I'm getting older. But I'm starting to wake up like sore Achilles, sore back, like most mornings. So I actually do have to look after myself a little bit more.
You are ancient, to be fair.
No, yeah. But like then, like dog walking. So like dog walk for me, it's such a simple thing, but that genuinely makes my body feel better. Like going taking the dogs out in the morning on a day off for an hour or so, get the body moving, makes you feel so good. It's a different.
It does something for you mentally as well, right?
Yeah, big time, and I'm big for that. So after a hard day or something, and I come home, and sometimes I can be quite grumpy, which Kizzy will testify.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I never knew that.
But for me, how I feel better after a shit day, a hard day at work, I'll just take dogs out, and it mentally clears my mind a little bit. So that's a big part for me. One of the reasons I got Leo initially was to help me with that side of the game, because it can be a lot. It can be a lot to sort of try and leave everything at the club. I've got 20 minutes in the car to get home and take everything out of my head, but it's not always that easy. So having a reason to get out does help you.
Yeah. Oh, I like that you found that sort of mechanism. So, you know, and this is important for so many people as well, is when you commit yourself to training, like an ultra marathon or an Ironman or some fucking a marathon, whatever it might be, whatever your challenge is, it sort of does invade your personal space in your life, and you don't really think about the effect that's having on your partners and the people around you. So it's important to leave the training at training, the games at the games, things like that. So I think that's quite I mean, not everyone's going to go out and get a dog because that's quite an expensive one, but that's
A lot of work.
it's interesting that you found that. And so with the downtime, so you got the dog walking, you got the jacuzzi ice baths, which sound absolutely awesome, by the way. What else is there? You used to hate rolling out, so do you
Yeah,
do
I
any
don't.
of that or?
I'm not great. I would say recovery is not my strongest point. Uh, I've
World's
never.
tightest hamstrings.
Yeah, well, I still am, and it's interesting because I tried when I was at Sarries. I had a physio who was convinced that all my back problems, which they probably are coming from how tight I am. So I was like, "Do you know what? I'll do a test of you, and I will stretch. I'll do whatever stretching session you want for 2, 3, 4 weeks, and see how I feel after. And if it works, I'll carry it on, and if it makes me feel better, I'll do it." I did it, and I felt worse than I've ever felt in my life. Like I was so sore. So I've stopped. I can't touch my toes still. I never will be able to. But it works for me. So it's why it's so individualized in terms of what works for people. And you've got to find your way of not getting by because you don't want to just get by, but
Mm.
to make yourself feel good because that's the most important thing. Like I can't get up and I can't get up and play a rugby game if I'm feeling shit in the morning of the game. But I know the stuff I've done during the week, more often than not, I'll wake up and feel pretty good. And it's not from the load of recovery we've been doing the whole week. It's because I've been going dog walks, have the odd ice bath. We got a cryo chamber at the club now, which helps. So that sort of stuff.
That's wicked.
Yeah, and obviously we've got masseuses and that. So there's loads of stuff that we are very fortunate to have that do help, and the resources are there for us. So we have two masseuses who come in from 7 till 8. They'll go home and then come back 12 till 1. So they are in twice a day massaging us, and we've got the cryo chamber now for the last 8 weeks of the season. Obviously, when you get down to the business end, you want to feel as fresh as possible. And I do like a cryo chamber. That does make you feel good. It helps you sleep. So.
That's so. Just for those that don't know what a cryo chamber is, what is a cryo chamber and
You've
why
actually
does
asked
it
the wrong person.
help
If
you?
could, I would love to get it out on the internet. But basically, it's basically just a really cold chamber that gets like -120, and you're in there for 2 minutes. You can go from 2 minutes to 3 minutes, and
2 minutes at -120 degrees or Fahrenheit.
degrees. Thank you.
Blimey.
Yeah, so you got beanie on, topless in your boxers, wearing North Face slippers, socks, and gloves.
Who said rugby wasn't homoerotic? That
It makes
is
you feel good and it makes you sleep well. So if you ever get a chance,
really.
do one. Yeah.
Yeah, I've always have always wanted to do one. Came very close at Bath, but to no avail. Okay, interesting. So, and then in season training, Tom, we're way more relaxed because we didn't
Yeah.
really we
Yeah.
didn't really get there. So
Oh,
what?
let's say let's say it's a Saturday to Saturday game. So say we played extra on Saturday and we've got Bath on
Yeah,
next Saturday. We'll go play game on Saturday. We'll go train Monday, Tuesday, day off Wednesday, Thursday, and then train Thursday, and then Friday's a really short day, but it's like a captain's run kind of thing. Monday is we have this thing at the club which I quite like, although I don't do it a lot. I'm not this time of the season. I don't gym very often. I don't think I've touched properly touched a weight in a few months now, and which my gym coach has learned to. We've learned to get on about it. So it wasn't his
So
favourite thing.
basically, you've just been too stubborn to go. Yeah, nah, I will train our gym. And he's
Yeah.
just gone. I give up.
I just fallen out of love of the gym, to be honest, Jess. I genuinely I'll make sure I get my calves, my hammies done, and the occasional bench and arms sort of stuff. But I do stuff to make, like I said earlier, I do stuff to make me feel good, not make me look good, which Kizzy doesn't like.
I just heard Kizzy in the background going boo.
I do stuff to make me feel good, and that's the most important. Like I go out onto a pitch to throw my body around, and if I'm not feeling good, then I don't think I can play to my best. And it doesn't work for everyone. I know for a fact there's some boys who have to do a heavy squat on a Monday, and they have to do a heavy bench on a Tuesday, and then they have to do some power stuff on a Thursday to make themselves feel. And that's fine. I'll never be up in the gym trying to stop boys gymming. Like, I let everyone do their own thing, obviously, but I will do my own thing as well. Sorry, I digress. I was telling you about the week. So Monday is Monday training session is all on maps. So we'll do review in the morning, preview in the afternoon, and then we'll do basically all the maps for the weekend. So myself and the other 9s and our 3 10s all sit down and we go through, and our attack coach will design the maps for the weekend. So our attack coach will come with what he wants to run, we'll tinker with it a little bit, and then basically present it to the squads, and then we'll go out on the pitch and walk through it pretty slowly once or twice, and then jog it a little bit more. So that'll be a Monday to make sure everyone's got the maps. And then Tuesday is another preview day. So usually on the Monday we'll have attack and breakdown day. So the meetings are very heavily dominated by attack and breakdown. Going into the next day will be heavily dominated defence and kicking game. So all sort of links. So like defensively and kicking game sort of link, and attack and breakdown will always link together a little bit. And that training sessions are most intense day. So we try and replicate as much as we can the ball and play, as I like, not without literally being a 40-minute session ball and play. We'll do 2 to 4 minute blocks of ball and play in like a kick block or an attack block or a defence block, where if the ball does go dead, a coach will chuck another ball in and it'll just play. So we can sort of condition ourselves to when it does get tough in games, because there's some games where you go ball and play for 4 to 5 minutes, and if you haven't even got close to doing that in a training session, you're going to be way off it when it comes to the game. So we try and, so like in pre-season especially, to replicate that, we'll do like, I think we got to at one point where we did like 6 blocks of 8-minute ball and play blocks. So the ball would basically be in play for, there'd be maybe like a 20-second, 30-second break in there, but for as much as the coaches could, if the ball got kicked out on the full, another ball would be straight in. So you try and condition yourself as much as possible for the game. And then, so that would be our match day intensity session. And then Thursday, where we usually do it at the stadium, we basically do what we did on Tuesday, but less time ball and play, shorter phases. So it's basically our fast day, so everything's done quickly. So when we run a map, it's 3 phases done, next one, but it's intensity once we're in it. So it's slow between and then quick when we're in. If that makes sense. And then Friday is just a captain's run, so we'll come in for hour and a half, 2 hours max, and we'll have like a meeting where a few of the general leaders will speak, and then straight onto the pitch, just some trainers, just walk through, and that's that, and then we're into the game.
Sweet. And then Sunday, obviously chilling, nursing a hangover.
No, yeah, sometimes, but I try not to. My hangovers.
Try not to. You've never been good on a hangover though, so that's fair and that's fine. Maybe you've learned in your older age as well that it affects the next week's training.
Wise.
I think that's been quite a recurring theme through this. Is quite interesting. Yeah. I'm sure your family will be very proud to hear that you've gathered some intelligence. After so look, mate, I appreciate all of that, and like your story as well, like through the years is really interesting, how you've grown as a player and how you've coped with the OCD as well, and your sort of perfectionism as well. I think that's really, really helpful, because I'm sure there's loads of people out there that are very similar, so they'll take a lot of lessons away from this. But also what I want to know is, and as we get into the sort of final section of the poddy, is what are you planning on post rugby? Is there, because you mentioned it at the start, where you were like, I put all my eggs in one basket and I had nothing else, so if it didn't work, I was fucked pretty much. So have we learnt that aspect, and what's next, if so?
I wouldn't say I've learnt that. I haven't learnt too well. I love coaching. I do genuinely love it. It's hard because I'll be completely honest, like coaching So I coach Tuesday and Thursdays, not at the moment, 'cause season's over, but I've coached at Old Albanians, Dings, Crusaders, now Market Harbour. And it's great fun because it's Tuesdays and Thursdays. There's not much analysis to do because you don't have 10 different camera angles and from a game, and you can't go onto a platform and get certain clips from a different game. It's like, so it's quite fun. Like I turn up on a Tuesday, it's just a lot of skill games, conditioning games, and on Thursday you run a bit of shape and stuff and play on the Saturday, which I don't get to go to the games. But I've seen through a teammate who had to retire early how hard it is to go into professional coaching, and the step up of coaching at an amateur level to then go into the professional level is huge. But I would love to give it a go. I think I'd make a good coach. I like you said, I see a game. I like to commentate in a game. Like I said, I see the game differently to some people. So I will give it a go. Where that'll be, I have no clue, because hopefully I've got another 6-7 years, 8 years potentially. I know, hopefully. Hopefully.
Come on, the body.
Exactly. Well, exactly, and that gives me. I'm basically 2/3 of the way through my career. Then I get, if you look at it that way, like I've been going 12 years, and hopefully I've got another 6 at least. So yeah, like I'm hoping I'd go into coaching. The dream thing is that you finish a career and you walk straight into a top like skills or attack job at a great club, but very rarely does that happen. So I have to know that it might be at a championship club, and it might be it might be a championship club, and it might be at a pretty low level to start with. But the idea is that I've coached already for so long now that I've got all this experience that I could hopefully go into a pretty good job straight away. Would be the plan.
And with the coaching, there's certifications that help you along the way. I'm assuming you've done all that because you're already at that level. But then there's, like, I'm just thinking, you've got the example of someone who left rugby, to go on and do coaching in Richard Wigglesworth. And then you've got, the likes of like Mike Brown, who I think's at Isha at the moment, correct me if I'm wrong, who have to start, at a slightly different level. And then you've got all those that come down to amateur as well. So there's a wealth of them. Obviously, because you've been playing the game for so long, you've been being taught all of the best stuff from the top of the chain. How do you differentiate, and how do you find those opportunities? Or how are you hoping to do that?
So I'm quite lucky in the fact I've had at Leicester I've had at least 3 coaches already, but I've had coaches range from one end of the spectrum to the other. So I've learned from like Mark McCall, who's obviously just retired from Saracens at the end of the season, who's an amazing coach. Like, not the most amazing when I was there personally, not the most amazing people person. Like like when it came to looking after the person, I didn't think he was great to me personally. But as a coach, I thought he was amazing. You've seen what he's done. He's won incredible trophies. Most years, Sarries were fighting for a trophy, which is a lot of it's down to him. And then you've got a Pat Lam, who, when I was there, me and him didn't get on very well, but I learned a lot of things from both of them. And then you've got someone right in the middle, I think it's Michael Checker, who is can look after the people very well, and he's an absolute madman. Some of his ideas were crazy, but would genuinely care about you as a person, which I think is really important. So I've taken loads from coaches, and I'm constantly learning from coaches. Even now, Jeff Parling is a brand new head coach, and he's still learning. And you can tell, like, there's a lot of new things that you can tell he's learning with, but he's doing a great job for us at the moment. In terms of like falling into the job, like for Wiggy, like that's the dream for a coach, really. Like, you go from literally 1 week playing Tigers to next week you're head coach for Tigers, and then 3 months or whatever it was later, he's coaching England.
Yeah,
so, like,
ridiculous.
I mean, it's crazy, and he's doing a great job. And then Mike Brown, he isn't so much a coach; he's more like a sporting director, because I know that's what that's what he wants to go into more. I don't think he wants to be like a hands-on coach. He wants to be more of a sporting director. So I don't know if you can just. I have no clue, but I don't think you can just walk straight into a like a high level sporting director job, because I think you have to sort of work your way up and make a name for yourself a little bit. But from what I saw him the other week actually, and he seems to be loving it, like working with a low budget and trying to work ways around how you pay certain players this and that, and it sounded really interesting, to be honest. And so that's another thing. Like I've never even thought about being a sporting director, but when I speak to Brownie about it, it's a pretty cool job, especially when you go into an amateur club and the budgets aren't like tight. They're tiny. I think he has. I probably shouldn't say numbers, but between sort of 15 and 25 grand, right, for a squad, and they've got to pay some players, and you've got to work out how to make it fair for everyone. So,
Maths.
yeah, which I'm not great at.
Delegate.
And neither are you, so I won't be asking you.
No, that's all right. If you need some direction and helping and directing people, then I can do that. That's
Yeah,
for sure.
exactly.
Hey, look, Milfield are hiring a sport director.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to do that. Can you imagine that? That'd be the dream job. I saw Mallet and where did I see him? Mallet, Ben Boyd, Kingsford, and Fred Gabatas.
Yeah.
They all came down to Bordeaux away.
France, wasn't it? Yeah.
They all came down to the Bordeaux game. So I would chat to them for a bit, and I said to Gabatas, I'm pissed off at him for taking my job, because he'll be there now for 30 years.
For those listening, they're old teachers and a student from school that don't know. So, mate, look, I'm conscious of time. It's getting late on, but we do have I'm trying to generate a closing tradition on the podcast. I'm not copying Stephen Bartlett, but I am. So, sue me. Look, the question that I've asked people before, and because you're a special guest, I've been talking to people more in the endurance field, akin to sort of my business. But since you're in a slightly different field, I'm going to ask the question slightly differently. So let's just say that you wanted to try and really break your nose in a white collar boxing match, and you had it's pretty broke, and you had a walkout song. What would that walkout song be, and why?
Oh, that's a good question. It would genuinely, it'd be a 660 song.
Yeah, interesting.
So my favorite 660 song is "Finest Wine," right? And this is actually a ridiculous answer, but because I'm walking out for a boxing match, but going back to my points earlier about me keeping calm and not actually wanting to listen to music. Like that song, I know relaxes me straight away. So if I had that song walking out for a fight, I wouldn't be thinking about anything
Walk
else.
out. Because you'd be too relaxed, mate. You'd be in the change room just go,
Well, exactly, yeah.
Interesting.
That probably would. It'd be something relaxed like that, and I think it'd be 660. And because you're in New Zealand, I think it will be 660. Yeah, finest wine.
Oh, it's nothing to do with me, mate. Like let's picture it as like
it would be something relaxing, and it would probably be that, and I'd probably get booed by the whole crowd. But
which you'd love, obviously.
yeah, exactly, which I quite like, and it'd keep me relaxed and it'd keep me focused on what my job was to do.
Awesome. Great answer. Tom, thank you so much for coming on today, mate. It was awesome speaking to you and getting your story, and really appreciate the time. For those that have logged in and listened, where can they find you and what you're doing?
Well, you can find me on Instagram if they like. You don't have to, but you can find me on Instagram. You can follow Leicester Tigers. Follow the journey, because we've got a big few games coming up. We've got basically a quarter final this weekend against Bath. It's not literally, but it is. And then semi-final, and then hopefully a final the week after.
Go on, son. Go well. Well, we're wishing you the best of luck, and take it easy, all right?
Appreciate it, Chester. Thank you very much.